Hey, you come holler at me, man. I'll go ahead and get fucking blow her back out. I already told you. Anytime Susan wants it. Anytime.
If you meet somebody, I've been saying this for years, man. You should get the death penalty for a false accusation. Death penalty. Not life in prison. Death penalty.
You might be a simp.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 60 of the Migtown podcast, your only weekly source for going full monk. As usual, I'm producer Tim. Joining me is the mayor of Migtown, Drexel. Say hi.
Hello, everybody in the world.
Also joining us, you are, Hammerhand, you are the most requested collaboration that we've had on our channel. I think every week, every 2 weeks, people come in and say, when are you going to do a video with Hammerhand? When are you going to get Hammerhand? Well, today, ladies and gentlemen, we deliver. Introduce yourself.
No idea. I appreciate you guys for having me on. Thank you very much. It's my pleasure as always. And yeah, it appears right now, at least, monk mode is the way.
Oh, man. Hammerhand, first of all, thanks for coming in. So, Hammerhand, I've been a fan of yours for a long time. Before I had the show, that's why I never commented, because, you know, you dox yourself and then you have a bunch of fucktards coming after you.
Yeah, you do.
You know, I have seen your show. There, you know, I've mentioned you in a few of my episodes, and I talked about one of your series that you used to do, the incoming juggernaut, right? And you're talking about some of these issues. And hey, man, can you kind of explain, you know, when you made that series, what you were kind of, you know, you saw the trends and where they're leading to, and you kind of talk about that.
Yeah, it's not. I want to say that it's not too difficult to see that, but I mean it is. If you're in Normieville and you're blue-pilled, as we like to say, and you just got your head down and you're working and you're trying to, you know, go out there and have the white picket fence and the 2.5 nuclear family, you don't see these things coming the way that they're coming. And it is a juggernaut. It is unstoppable. It's not going to be derailed. The plan that has been set in motion for people, for demographics, for whites, blacks, men, women, and everybody else, it's turning, and it's turning fast and hard. And it's going to hurt a lot of people. And if folks don't wake up and start doing what they need to do to get prepared for that shit, for the demographic change that's coming, for the sexual politics changes that are coming, they're going to get caught out like real hard.
Yeah, well, you know, this is the thing about natural selection, right? Where you have these people out here, Hammer, and they're talking about, you know, like you said, the normies don't see any of this, right? Like you and I can watch Disney's Stepdad coming out, right? And we can see all the programming, right? You see it, I see it. And then like the normie is like this is a great movie, Hammerhand. Look at this. Stepdads, this is great. You know what I'm saying? You know the bullshit that goes on, right? You've been around these people.
Yeah,
and you know they see a gay Superman, right? Superman getting his cheeks clapped, gay Captain America, that's okay. Robin is suddenly you know, comes out of the closet. They don't see anything wrong with any of this, right? Like you just wool over the eyes, right? You see it though. You're like, you know, something that doesn't get talked about enough is that I want you to imagine, Hammer, that you're one of these young boys out here, young men. You have no masculine influence, right? Like, where do you go to get, like, let's say you're raised by a single mom, right? Where do you go?
You go to the internet if you're lucky. If you're lucky, you got an uncle that knows what it's all about. You know, you got maybe a kid down the street who actually has a father in the home, and they understand what's going on. But most of these young men out here today are getting their information from the internet. They're not getting it from anywhere else. That's why the internet is as heavily targeted as it is. You know, it's just a matter of sheer numbers. The unfortunate part for these folks out here, their sheer numbers still can't block down and blot out the need that young men and boys have to have a masculine influence in their life. It's instinctual.
I definitely believe that. Well, and the reason why I say that is because, I remember when your channel got nuked. I remember you were, you had posted, because I'm subscribed to your channel for years now, and you had posted, and you're like, oh, hey, I've got X amount of, I think you had reached something million hours on YouTube, YouTube watch hours. And I remember going, oh man, congrats to Hammerhand. It wasn't long after that you got nuked.
Yep. Yeah,
you posted that shit. It was like poof, gone. Thanos snap.
Yeah, this will be the 7th. This is the 7th incarnation of the Hammerhand channel.
Yep.
My very first channel, I was suspect of the way that the numbers were starting to look. And this is when we were changing. I was still using a very old OS. So we had back doors then, like if you log into certain screens, you get that really weird, almost like you're operating in safe mode kind of screen. Yep. And that screen was showing me 80,000 subs when the screen that you guys were looking at was showing you 15,000 subs.
Yep.
And it happened again on this latest incarnation. The channel just before this one, I was showing 39,000 subs, and then I went to look at my subscriber counts, and it said that I had 89,000 subs, but it wasn't showing that. And then as soon as I posted that, I got a strike, another strike, one strike dropped off, and then I was gone. They just terminated the channel. That was it. And the same thing is happening on this one right here. When this channel came back, that first channel, I accumulated 8 million views. This channel right here has already surpassed that. And the prior channel, I was getting 900,000 every 28 days, roughly. So just staggering numbers. And it's not at all a surprise to me that they try to push people like you and Tim and myself and everybody else. And, you have to really play the game. And I'm not much of a game player. That's why I've had 7 channels. That's why Chronic has had 14 channels. Because I just don't play. I don't play games. You'd be surprised how many people would ask me to try to dance around things just to keep the channel.
I bet. Here's the thing though, like I think the most that we can kind of dance around is like certain words or something. It's like, well, if all you're going to say is I don't have to say a certain word, if I can use Joker at Better Bachelor's great at it, right? Where he says like struggle snuggle, or he'll use certain terms. Coach Greg Adams, it's grape. You know what I'm saying? You can try to use these words to go around certain things. But I think once someone says your message is being compromised, I think that's where the guys like you, me, we say no bueno. You see what I'm saying? And some people are like, no, Hammerhand, I'm just going to go ahead and make videos that are going to be, happy and all this. And one of the things that bothers me is, I don't know if you've had people in your comment section say this, but like, have you been getting people, and by people, I mean, bitch made beta cuck simp manginas, who they have this obsession with like, I want positive news, Hammerhand. Why is everything negative? Tell me that my queen, my unicorn is out there. Have you been getting more of that? Like,
I'm gonna be honest with you. Early on, like the first 2 or 3 Hammerhand channels, yes, I was getting that. I barely see that anymore. Folks, I think the word has gotten around enough. Folks know that I'm not gonna lie to them. I'm not gonna blow sunshine up their ass. I refuse. I'm not gonna do it. We've got very, very serious problems that the world is looking at, and it doesn't matter where you fall in whatever spectrum, whatever pack or tribe you belong to, it does not make a difference. Everybody is faced with some pretty serious issues right now. So I feel that it's important to talk about that. I try to cut humor into it. I try to put levity in there, but I never try to mask over the issues.
Well, one of the things that you've stood for that I believe very few in this space stand for. It's the reason why I did a show a while back that was a criticism of the manosphere, right? And it was that you have pushed from, I remember your early channels, and I remember when you took a fake shit as your outro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I remember that. Shit on these haters. Fuck them.
That's it.
I remember that. Yeah. Like I said, I've been around forever, and I was like looming. I was kind of lurking in the background. You were one of the few channels, especially coming from, like I said, from a white guy, where you saw the same thing I saw, which is there were too many channels that got into the whole racial, ethnopolitics, right?
Sure.
Instead of looking at the big picture, like, dude, everyone's a target. You see what I'm saying? This obsession with like black manosphere, white manosphere, white nationalist guys. It's like, dude, you have to understand who is the enemy and who do they see as their enemy, right?
Sure.
And a lot of guys didn't see that, and that's why you kind of saw some of this fuckery. And like I saw too much of it, right? Where there would be guys making certain comments in sections. I would see I would see it in Terrence Pop's channel. I remember when he got put in time out and stuff. And you just look at some of these comments. I'm like, look, dude, if you guys are still talking about the racial aspect and you don't see the big picture, it's really indicative of where we are in society. That means that they've already won. You see what I'm saying? If you are thinking that way, here we are in the manosphere, we're supposed to be, Hammerhand, we're here to come together, right? And yet a guy's going, well, I don't like that. They're basically trying to, they're trying to pussy police or dick police. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they're more concerned about that than fixing problems. Like, no, bro, we have to fix these problems. But no, people don't, they're on bullshit.
I think our biggest strength is that we can bring awareness to the issues that we feel are out there, and they come in 1,000 variables with 1,000 shades of each one, of course. But there are things that are more important out there that should be focused on. And those are the things that really have to kind of be brought to light. But I think that they have to be brought up gently because, if you drop a bucket of red pills on somebody, you'll drive them insane.
Agreed.
You'll make them kill themselves. And
it's funny you say that because like I said, I've been watching your channel for so long, and I can remember some of your stories really stood out, right? And I think that when we lead by example, we can really get something much more powerful, because sometimes like a guy you may do something for somebody, right? And they may not really know who you are. You're just a guy to them, right? And they wind up later on being like, wait a minute. I remember a story. I believe it was 2 summers ago. You talked about being at a gas station every other day, and you helped a young man get a car. He got some wheels.
Yes.
And I remember that story because, you said what I said, like, we don't do this whole self-aggrandizing of, because, women will, they would have, had a selfie stick out, make sure everyone in the world sees them, throwing a parade to say, look at me, look at how the things I do in society. Whereas dudes are very low key, like, yeah, well, I don't like talking about it, but I helped this dude do this, right? He got to get some because you saw him working hard. And how long before do you think that guy is going to end up recognizing, hey, this guy that helped me is Hammerhand? You see what I'm saying? Like, I know that dude.
Yeah, I don't know if that'll ever happen, but it's funny, man. It kind of strikes at random. I had a fella that caught me walking into my job. He recognized me off the street.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of a 50-50 thing. I mean, if they agreeing with what you say, you're all right. But if they're not agreeing with what you say, they can make a lot of trouble for you. I understood that, from the jump. I knew that. There's a lot of folks out there that take issue with what they call fake altruism. They're like, well, true altruism is you're not going to say nothing. I said, but I got a lot of people that are giving me 5s and 10s and 20s, and they want to see where their money goes. Now if they put it in the comments, when they send it and they're like, this is for you, do whatever. And the overwhelming majority of it is, I'm like, okay, cool. I'll buy a microphone or a camera or some USB cords or something just to make the cast better.
Mm-hmm.
But if I do something for somebody, I want them to be able to share in that credit. And there's nothing fake about that. That's not me trying to, be shiny. That's me telling them that their contributions helped another young man get $400 worth of tires.
Well, absolutely. Well, you say that, and the thing is, you've been hearing this word get used, I think, overused now, grifter.
Yeah.
And people, this is a very sensitive topic, because people need to understand, man, there's a difference between someone throwing change, you're not, making someone do anything. You're not forcing them anything. And a guy actually grifting. People think if you make money, period, somehow that makes you a grifter. It's like, that's not true at all. Like,
no,
making money does not make you a fucking grifter. Like, this obsession with like, he's a grifter. He's a grifter because he makes money. Like, that's not grifting. Like,
no, that's just another divide and conquer tactic. And
yep.
those are typically people that kind of lurk or hate watch your shit, and they wait for an instance to. Oh, am I supposed to say cuss words on here?
Obviously, fuck
okay.
yeah, you say cuss words.
Right on in there you go. You know, they just sit around and they wait for an opportunity to try to drive a stake in, you know, to try to drive a wedge in. And I've always said I don't have a problem with people making money doing YouTube. I don't have a problem with that at all. I don't have a problem with ruthless shilling like Undead Chronic does, because it's straight out there, it's up front, and you're getting something for your value, and it's optional. You have the option to click the link. I'm not telling you that you got to click the link. I'm not saying that you got to do any of that. And I don't make, you know, shit tons of money on here. I really don't. So.
Well, that was my main issue with that, is that so often, you know, people, you know, guys will make money on YouTube and then they'll talk about how someone else is making money on YouTube. Like, that's some feminine pussified behavior. You know what I'm saying? Like, when I see dudes pocket watching, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, I don't trust you as a man, right? Like,
right on.
Dudes were out here like, oh, well, I'm looking at Hammerhand's numbers and he's fuck you pocket watching for. You see what I'm saying? Like, dude, Hammerhand, when I was coming up, man, everybody was doing their own thing. Like I said, this is long before woke. You know what I'm saying? You're an older gentleman than me. You know, I'm 39. And it's like, I came up in an era where like kids still got their asses whooped in public. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And now, you know, these dudes right here, everyone claims that everything is abuse, right? Like, you said a bad word and that's abuse. Like the term verbal abuse, right? That, like, what does that even mean? Because, you know, when someone says abuse, you always think to yourself, oh, you know, someone did something to you. Like, verbal abuse basically just means you said something I don't like, right? And that's where we're at in this space where people were basically saying, you know what, Hammerhand, I don't like what you said, so I'm gonna try to shadow ban your channel. I think that's what Fresh and Fit got in trouble for, right? Like the whole idea of like doing some little strikes against people that basically don't agree with them or call them out on something. It's like, dude, who does that? You know what I'm saying?
They were an ass whisker away from losing that channel.
Yeah, I heard.
Yeah, they were real close to losing that channel. No matter what I think about YouTube, the one time that I saw that the process worked was with that process right there, because it was clear that they were false DMCAing everybody that had a criticism of their bullshit. You know, so, and they are bullshit. They're bullshit people. So, and I make no bones about that. I don't care if you got 4 million subs or 400 subs. If you do the coercive, pervasive, perverted shit that they do, and then you try to sell that as machismo, masculinity, the way to being a man, you're a piece of dog shit.
Well, now, hold on, Hammerhand. Now, we can't mention machismo and selling fake bullshit, coercive alphaness without addressing you and that goddamn beard. That is the opposite of you know who. I mean, we ain't mention no names. Look, Hammerhand, I saw you when you first grew your beard and you trimmed it, and then you really grew it, and you went ahead and went Santa Claus on us. And what do you think about this this new thing? Because, you know, when it comes to grifting, you and I both know there's gonna be a lot more guys out here showing up and be like this. Hammerhand, guys, I'm gonna show you how to be a man. Subscribe to my course. If you say one thing about a fucking course, right, you're a fraud.
It has to be, you have to have what morals, ethics, values, and principles. And you would be shocked at how many people ask me, what is the difference between them? How do I know what those are? It's stunning to me that people ask that question. But once you do your digging, your due diligence, and you figure out what they are in conjunction with controlling your biology, you already know how to be a man. Being a man is not going out there and pulling pussy. That is not being a man. That's a man that's pulling pussy. And he's doing a lot, selling a lot, and sacrificing a lot to satisfy an impulse. And that's terrible for him, because it will come back and bite him in the ass. You know, all he does is reinforce the next generation of merciless, ruthless thought. That's it. You know,
well, the tactics have changed. I know, you know, our main man, who I know you're a fan of because I've seen you in his comment sections, a guy I always shout out, which is our man LOM Line of Migtown.
Yes, sir.
And you know, he just did a Hot Pocket episode a couple of days ago. Yeah, I know you like that.
Oh man, it couldn't have been a better story either.
It
It
could have
couldn't have
been.
been a better story.
It could have been. These hoes, look, these modern day thoughts have zero soul. They don't have no integrity, no principles, no
You're
morals, no
100%.
nothing. It's all about girl get that bag, right? That's their whole mentality. It doesn't matter how you get it.
Fucking ruthless. And these
Ruthless.
motherfuckers are out here big up in this girl, patting her on the back, defending a sperm jacking.
Yep.
Defending it. She
Yep.
deserved that fucking shit. If her pussy fell off on the ground and she got stepped on, I would laugh at it. You deserve that for being such an ethicless piece of shit to do something like that. She didn't care about your years. She didn't care about the money she was going to steal from you. She cared about her. And that's where all of them are. Oswald.
Well, the funny thing about that is that there's this simple issue, right? And if we were to just separate, right? And if we were to say, all right, so Hammerhand, here's the deal. On one side of the fence, I have male fuckery, right? How many women are ever simping for male fuckery?
I guess it depends. I guess it depends entirely on what the female is looking for.
No,
they
I'm
will.
saying the defenders, because he's like they'll defend like R. Kelly, right? Like someone who's famous.
Yeah.
But overall, when dudes do stuff, right? Like when our man RPM makes an HMT video, you're not going to see women in the comments section saying, "Yeah, that girl definitely deserved that HMT," right? So here's the problem, though. Now let's look at the reverse, though, Hammerhand. On this side, right, we have female fuckery. Do you notice how many bitch-made simps are sitting here putting on a cape for female fuckery?
Yeah.
It's not like you would think there's no symmetry at all, and I guess that's my problem. The reason why I go so hard at bitch-made simps, right, and I always have, and I've cucked them in real life, right, and on the internet, because fuck them, they're inhuman to me, and it's a simple reason, it's that, like, okay, let me get this straight. The most you've ever gotten from a female, right, is a pat on the head. That's the most, because you're not getting pussy. You know what I'm saying? Like when you put the cape on and you sit there and go like this, Hammerhand, I'm ready to save her, milady. It's like, okay, what did you get for that? You see what I'm saying? Nothing. Not a goddamn thing. And like I said, this is the most. Pat on the head, right? That's the most a simp gets from one of these hideous creatures.
Yes,
see
sir.
What I'm saying?
You're a reliable ally, a utility.
Yep. That's it. Well, here's the thing. And I've been highly critical. I don't know if you ever see me, especially when I'm on my main man Ricada's channel. I'm highly critical of both sides, left and right, because I go, look, both sides view the male species the same way. They view you first as utilitarian, then as disposable. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Both sides. And there are people out there, like I said, cuckservatives, I've always said, are worse than liberals. Always. I will never, ever, ever fucking back down. Because at least the liberal, I would argue, and I want your take on this, Hammerhand. Do you believe that the liberal is in some ways the lesser evil, in the sense that, like, a lot of these guys actually don't know any better, right? Like the left wing simp truly doesn't know any better, right? He's wearing a dress. He's saying, he's at feminist rallies and shit. You see what I'm saying? Like, I can almost forgive him because he doesn't know any better, right? The right wing dude knows all of everything that's going on. He's very aware, right? Like Tucker Carlson, we call him Cucker Carlson over here, right?
Yeah.
He's fully aware of what's going on and being like, no, you guys just need to man up and go get married. And wait, you see what I'm saying? You see how that's even worse? Like, you can acknowledge all the laws, all of the fact that guys are out here getting Me Too and stuff. Dr. Helen Smith has had more balls on that panel when she visited Fox News than any of the dudes there, right? The little beta simps.
I think that she was really taken aback by that deal with Carlson. Was he even on Fox when that went down?
Ooh, that might have been a morning show.
I think he was on another network when that went down.
Like a Today Show kind of thing.
Yeah. These motherfuckers, they transpose networks when their ideological stances change, or they get outed for liking something or disliking something, and they get pushed out. They just float to the other network.
Yep, like Tommy Lauren. Tommy Lauren will eventually be on a left-wing station.
She is a left-wing personality.
Absolutely.
It doesn't make any difference what anybody thinks about that. If you call yourself a conservative and you support abortion, you're not a conservative. Most of these people are not conservatives anyways. It's just stylish.
Well, Hammerhand, let's be honest. When you hear a chick who says she's one way and then she flips, right? We already know the term chameleon, right?
Yes,
That
sir.
usually means one of two things: she got an abortion, or a friend of hers got one. Right?
That's right. They use it
It's
as
one or the other.
cover. That's just cover. That's all they use it for, is so that they can get in there and look good in the eyes of somebody and privately, and then hold a different public stance.
Mhm.
That's what they do. You know, old Miss Clinton said it the best. Yes, you should have a public policy and a private policy, and fuck the public.
Yep. Yeah, here's the thing. People talk about like someone like Hillary Clinton, right? And I think Hillary represents a positive thing. And here's why. When you have this demonic, hideous looking witch of a creature running around, right? She's almost like a litmus test. You see what I'm saying? Kind of like Jack Murphy. Like, okay, charlatans are good for society because it's the litmus. Like, okay, Hammer, you heard Jack Murphy's voice, right?
I did. It's light. He's got a lisp.
It
was clear to me that there was something else going on there. So we started doing some digging. And thank you very much.
Yeah, look, I'm looking at this wall behind me with this goddamn. I have a me on a throne over this Picasso, right? And as I look over here, and I see this bitch made fucking cuck. That's Ron Toye right there. As I look at Ron Toye, right, and I had because when I went to Nick's channel, I didn't know any of these people about what happened to Vic Mignogna. So once I heard his voice, I said, "Oh, are you guys serious? This dude, similar to Jack Murphy." I was in Nick's chat that night, right, when Nick was reviewing the video, right, and this is the first time I've ever heard this guy's voice, and I put in the chat, "This dude's giving me rainbow vibes." I put a little rainbow emoji, right?
Yeah.
This is even before like all of the other stuff came out. You see what I'm saying? And I'm like looking like, hold up, pause. Like time out.
Yep.
Let me get this straight. You are a young man somewhere in the world, right, Hammer? Random young man. You signed up for a fucking liminal order and $100 a month for this dude? Like, there were no warning bells going off, right? No red flags. You listen to a dude who sounds like this. Yeah, so the way to be a masculine man is
look, man, when you got somebody like Jack Murphy talking to Tim Pool and Dave Rubin about masculinity, you got a motherfucking problem.
Yeah.
You got a problem. Okay, that's not a slap towards anybody that chooses to be abnormal. But let's make no mistake about it. This is not a normal condition. Okay, if it was a normal condition, the species would not be here. Plain and simple. If everybody went around same-sex humping, nobody would be here. So it's an abnormal condition. It's not an alternative lifestyle. It's not enlightenment. Something's in your head fucked up.
Yep.
You're fucked up. There's something wrong with you. Now, do I deny you your humanity because something is wrong with you? No, I don't. I have the utmost sympathy until you start to fuck with me over it. Until you start to mess with my kids over it. Until you start to think that you're better than me and I have to embrace you over it. No, thank you.
Well, the thing with when they come, it's always pushing something on somebody, right? Like it's always pushing an agenda, and like I said, they monetize. So basically, here's what they've done: they've monetized vulnerability, right?
Sure.
So they look and think like this: "Hey, Hammerhand, you won't believe this. There's an incel culture. There's a thirsty ass young man culture, right? I'll say what I'm going to do, Hammerhand. I'm going to say, I'm going to create this image, right? This persona. Do you guys notice it's always a fucking persona, right? I mean, I've seen you call out some of these dudes, right? The Donovans, the Jack Murphys, or some of these other guys, and you call them out because you're like, these guys, you're looking, you're like, why are you selling a course? You see what I'm saying? Why are you selling a course? Hey, guys, this is how to game women. You notice a lot of the PUAs, right? Just slithered over into this space, right? They slithered like a fucking snake, right?
Yep.
Because now Hammerhand, you remember this, right? Early in the early days, I remember you went after a dude that I would listen to his show just to see what he was talking about. Do you remember there was that guy called Angry Migtow? Do you remember him?
Yes, I remember him.
And he got exposed like they always do, right?
Yes.
In time, they got exposed, right?
Yes.
So what ended up happening is I've always told people, man, think about this for a second. When you have someone who's critical about facts, logic, reason, and reality, right? It's very clear cut, right? And they're anti that, right? The PUA was against that. Like, I remember hearing some of these PUA dudes, right? And they were you remember this in the early days, they were anti-Migtown, right? Oh, those guys are losers. They're blah, 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 blah. And then you slowly saw their content shift, right?
Yes, of course. Of course they're going to say that. You know, I watched a Looney Tunes cartoon once, and old boy said, you know, the faker's the maker. You know, the person that farts and screams the loudest about it, they're the one that's going to be blamed for it because they're the one that did it. This is the way that it is in this particular kind of community, and it's easy to take advantage of young men that are coming into this space. It's easy to take care. It's easy to fleece them. Let's just be honest.
Yep.
They're looking for answers. They don't have any life experience, and even the older fellas, 30s and 40s, they barely have any life experience. They just have really fucked up relationships and nowhere to go with that information. They don't know why it's happening. And it's difficult on these guys, you know, but then you have a professional charlatans that are in here. They are professionals. They are experts at doing what it is that they do. They will denounce you. They will say that MGTOW is shit, MGTOW's garbage, MGTOW's this, that, and the other. But then they're taking every talking point from MGTOW and they're dressing it in their particular fascia.
Yeah, like I said, I truly believe that, like, sometimes even when charlatans do charlatan shit, that there's still good things that can come out of it, right? Like,
sure,
we've talked about guys like Kevin Samuels. And if someone were to ask me, is Kevin Samuels good for this space? My argument is yes, and here's why. Let's just say you're a young guy out there, and Kevin Samuels has over 1 million subscribers, right?
Right.
I think it's a good thing that a guy can, because remember, his videos, I'm assuming, are probably recommended, right? Because you have that much exposure.
Yeah, they are.
So at some point, though, Hammerhand, what happens when a young guy who needs answers sees a Kevin Samuels video of him clapping back at a German Shepherd, right? And he goes like this, I guess that kind of is putting things in perspective. He doesn't need to, he gave Kevin the view, right? But he wasn't, he's not giving his money. Sometimes, and like this was like the criticism of Sandman. Some people said that Sandman was like too soft core, but then some people said TFM was too hardcore. And I was a huge TFM fan, right?
Yes, sir.
Sometimes you need that soft opening to get to the TFMs of the world, right? Because I don't know if you know this, but I'm actually headed out to California to fuck Susan, right?
Oh,
so I can
yes,
get,
sir. Yes,
TFM
sir.
back on. So my main man that I'm trying to get back onto YouTube, uncensored, is TFM. And I mean, I'm gonna clap Susan's horse face, man.
My goodness.
I'm wearing this broad out.
Oh, goodness.
I do, bruh. Look, I'm trying to get into like these amaranth shit. She's wearing the horse head, and I'm trying to jerk off to bestiality porn now with horses.
Right on.
Because I need something to get over this fucking horse face. Sarah Jessica Parker.
If you got to do it, you got to do it, man. But I would strongly advise against it, sir. Strongly advise against it.
Man, sometimes you got to take one for the team, brother.
I've always said that I felt like Sandman was kind of like the gateway drug to MGTOW, to harder MGTOW. And when I say hard, I don't mean like it's harmful. I don't believe that. What it is I view it as like a grating tray. You ever seen those fellas? They take those 3 or 4 tiered trays and they shuffle sand, right?
Yep.
Depending on where you're at in life, when the tray shakes, that's where you're going to end up. If you're a beginner, if you're real big and you're loaded with blue pill shit, you're going to be on top. As you chip away the shit that is consuming your identity, you're going to filter down. Plain and simple. And you're going to find different voices. And I always say, listen to different voices. Do not put yourself in an echo chamber. Let's say that you like Drex. You love Drex. You're going to listen to everything that Drex does. Okay. But you've got to listen to other people too, even people that you find repulsive and detestable. You have to listen to other people. You got to know what's going on out there. But you also got to be careful not to let yourself get consumed by it. It's easy.
Well, I love it. And Hammer, one of the things that I'm very adamant about is, and it's I guess especially in the early days of this space, was kind of frowned upon was letting women in. And when I say let women in, I don't mean they're controlling the narrative. I mean from a peripheral perspective, right? Like you're putting this person in as a guest to highlight something. You see what I'm saying? You're not saying, oh yeah, this person's making decisions on the show. No. I've always said this though. So you and I both know that the standard of quote unquote believe all women has always been the standard, right?
Yes, sir.
Long before that was a hashtag, it was a standard. Like, if I talk about the Jim Crow era, right? If you were a black man and you got accused back then, right? You got Me Too'd in the Jim Crow era. Do you know what got you out of any accusation? The words of a white woman. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
The same thing that got you, locked up is what it's kind of like what happened with like the Duke lacrosse team. So Hammer, the best thing you can have in this space, because remember, there's a lot of dudes that are actually undercover simps, right? They try to pretend they're all red pill and they're hardcore, but at the same time, these are the same dudes that are like, I'm looking for my unicorn. Wait a minute, which one is it? You see what I'm saying? So my thing was this. Why don't I bring women in? Because Hammer, when I was on Nick's show early on, right? I was telling people this real shit, right? As a dude who was out here just smashing all these married chicks, right? It's just what I was doing. And I was like, look, I don't make apologies for anything I fucking do. You see what I'm saying? I just do what I do. And I'm out there living the life. And I told people, this is how it's going down, right? And there were guys going, no, Drex is making this up. He's a scumbag, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay. I said, Hammer, I'm going to make my own show and I'm going to bring women on and telling you this is how women cheat, right? Because here's the thing, they don't believe me, right? They say I'm full of shit, right? The moment you bring women on, you know what happens, Hammer? See, because now they're it's idolatry, right? They idolize this creature, and now they're like, but it can't be the good girls have the highest body count. It can't be. And I'm like, dude, I've been telling you this, right? So the standard of believe all women can actually work in your favor if you allow it to by, like I said, you invite them on, because there's been this stigma in this space, right? Where I think that sometimes it has kind of dipped into actual misogyny, right? Like these guys have this whole like hatred thing. I go, you and I both know, Hammer, hating women isn't going to solve any problems, right? If you just sit around and go, I hate them. Okay, well, did that solve anything? No. You know what I'm saying? Like hatred doesn't solve shit, right? It doesn't matter who you're hating. Like take someone right now, right? Like, do you remember in the Godfather, right? When Michael says that, right? He says, never hate your enemies. Remember that?
Yes, sir.
Never hate your enemies. If I view someone as my enemy, Hammer, I don't hate them, right? Because when you get emotional like that, you start slipping up, right? You act emotional, which is feminine. Just act with logic and reason. You need to be ruthless against these people, right? I don't know what's been happening, Hammer, but like more and more, you're starting to see more and more emotional outbursts in this space. Have you noticed that?
Yeah. I don't know that if I had time that I could go through it and really kind of clean that up, or anybody could for that matter. I think that there's an enormous influx every year, every 18 months or so, of folks that are just becoming exposed to it. And I think that they're trying to learn their way. They're learning their ropes. But just like I know that most men that come here, well, all men that come here have been sabotaged. 80% of the time they're raised by a single mother. So they are going to be their mother just walking around in a male body. They're going to be feminine mentally. They're going to be emotionally distant or abusive. They're going to be those things because that's what women typically are, especially when you put the fucking screws to them. When you give them exactly what they want, all of a sudden they don't want it anymore.
Yep.
But I feel like with every influx of men that come into the manosphere or become exposed to red pilling, and they get sifted down through those trays, they eventually find their way and they start to understand that there's a whole bunch of blue pill cakes out there that are dripped in red pill frosting. And as soon as they start to see that these guys are just kind of piping me back to the plantation, they're telling me one thing and selling me a whole bunch of shit that is contradictory to what they're telling me.
Yep.
You can have all the awareness in the world, but if you still participate in it, you're still putting your ass in jeopardy. You have to be very, very, very careful. As far as having women on the podcasts or on YouTube channels that are governed by men, there's a lot of guys out there that are doing that. They'll do street beat interviews, or they'll bring one of their female friends of a friend on, or they'll ask them questions or whatever. James Maxwell does that frequently. And I think
little
there's
hamster.
the ginger hamster.
Yep.
There's a lot of folks out there that they're doing that, and more power to them. But I've been around enough to know that you cannot trust them. Once they start to get comfortable, they start to try to dictate terms. And
Agreed.
I can't let that happen in this space on my channel. I wouldn't begrudge anybody else doing it, but I've watched a few very good channels burn to the fucking ground because they hand a broad a wrench or because they invite her in, and it's a big problem. It's a big problem. And you should be discretionary.
Too often.
Say again.
I've definitely seen that too often. The wrenches. When I've looked in chats, I'm kind of like, really? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. You're in a space that was built by men for men to discuss problems that involve men, even if that problem is a female. You don't give any type of authority to a female in that space.
Absolutely.
They've got the majority
inviting
of it
someone
on the
in to
outside
say
of the world.
something is one.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And itchy ear. These I will say this though, Hammerhand, everyone, like you said, everyone comes here with different life experiences, right? And a guy, this guy comes after a divorce, this guy comes after, a Me Too allegation, this guy comes because, he's an incel, he comes from a broken home, whatever, single mom. And I look at all these things and it's like, I remember, one of the things in your channel that really stood out to me, you made a video that really touched home with me because it was kind of like it was like a worst case scenario in my own life with my own daughter. You talked about how, you were basically going through that with your daughter and you made that video. I want to say that was about 2.5 years ago, right? About 2 or 3 years ago.
I'd say probably about 3.
About 3 years.
Well, I haven't spoken a word to her. In February, it'll be 4 years.
4 years. Okay.
So yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, I remember that scenario because, like I said, you're talking about, when you hand them a wrench, right? And this is the courts can hand them a wrench in real life, and then they can dictate the information that is given to the child. Yes. And that's how they, of course, parental alienation, and they manipulate the children to hate the father.
Yes.
And I remember you basically, you're literally like documenting this with your teenage daughter. And, my thing is this, I remember you made the video where you're basically kind of like, you wiped your hands. You're like, there's nothing I can really do, right? Like, you love her, but what do you want me to do, right? She's been turned against me. And the guys who come from your space, right? Like I said, it's the dark side of what could happen to me, right? Because obviously I'm in my daughter's life, but how this is, that could change. You know what I'm saying? All it takes is some, fuckery with the courts and the state. And next thing you know, the kid gets blocked from you, and then they get, twisted in their mind from other forces. What do you think about that though, Hammer, with, not just, you yourself, but like other guys out there who have come to this space, whether they're already here and because the relationships with their children through the family courts?
I think that there shouldn't be a relationship governed through the family court. There should be no intermediary there unless the parents can't work it out. Now, I will always say that there are instances of violence, whether that's a woman committing violence on men or men committing violence on women. Statistically, it's almost dead even now.
Yep.
So, and that's something that we always knew, but the statistics didn't bear it out because people did not want to acknowledge the violent nature of females. They aren't any different in that respect to men. Congratulations. We're actually kind of equal there.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know
where we're not equal though?
Tell me.
The domestic violation is roughly down the center. However, I'm sure you saw that federal report that it was women instigating over 70%. See, they're the ones instigating. Like, do you remember the Ray Rice in the elevator?
Yes.
They never talk. All they show is Ray Rice going ahead and giving her that hook, right?
Yeah.
They don't acknowledge anything that led up to that. You see, saying they are always the ones. You've been around those situations, right? Everyone's sitting around having a good time. Who usually is the one getting up in someone's face talking crazy? It's not the dude.
Always a female.
It's a female, right?
It's almost always a female because they know that they've got that soft state backing.
Yep.
And then when push comes to fucking shove, they're 911 away from getting you killed.
Yep.
and it will it happens every single week in this country. Somebody gets swatted or somebody gets the cops called on them and they get murdered.
Yeah. Well, you know, I don't know if you know this. My brother got swatted back in 2000. Hold on. He served a tour in Iraq. 2006.
No shit.
It was 4th of July weekend, 2006. He got swatted.
No kidding.
No bullshit.
I hope that nothing bad happened.
Oh no, he survived. Okay. Well, here's what's crazy though, is that like, you know, when that happened, you know, and you already know how this is, right? Because you know, females don't take accountability for anything. It was a simple case of my brother and his ex were basically breaking up. He's like, look, I'm tired of your bullshit. You know, you're not even paying your half of the rent. You know, you're trying to do fuckery. So he just was like, you know what? Deuces, and bounced, right?
Right.
She turned around, called the cops, and told them, you know, because he's an Army veteran, right? She's telling them, you know, oh, he's got guns. He's going to do this. He's going to, you know, he's going to yeet me and yeet himself. And he's crazy, right? You know, white woman tears, right?
Yeah.
So, of course, when anytime a Becky cries anything, right? The Simp squad, right? The government Simps, they SWAT. Look, Hammerhand, not the police, SWAT.
No, I believe you. I had SWAT show up at my door once.
Bro, here's the thing. You know how this is, Hammer. It's scary because remember, all that had to happen was B instead of A, right? And you'd have gotten killed. You see what I'm saying?
I agree.
So my brother was playing Final Fantasy 12 in the house, right? He's literally sitting on the couch playing a video game, right? They went around the backyard in the L perimeter, right? Came out of it literally looked the shit out of a movie, right? What bothered me about this case was that all it took was for them to think that my brother's a video game controller, right? I think I was a PS3 controller, right? All they had to do was think that the PS3 controller was or PS2 or whatever was a weapon, right?
Sure.
All they have to do is go like this. Oh, he's got a gun. You turn, because remember, he doesn't know that they're out there, you know, about to bust through the house with the fake phone, right? All he has to do is just turn and have that, and then he gets yeeted, right?
I mean, it could be a blueberry muffin, bro. It doesn't make a difference. It could be any goddamn thing. Anything. Yeah. When it happened to me, we were upstairs cheering at a football game, and the neighbor across the hall, you know what I said about the one that screams the loudest? He would actually beat the shit out of his girlfriend. And somehow or another, they called the police on us because they thought that I was beating her up. You know, we invited them in. I said, oh, yeah, we're just watching football. You know, and, ma'am, are you okay? Yeah, we're watching football. We're cheering at the TV. And we weren't even cheering that loud. So it just one of them fucking things, man. You just never know when something stupid is going to go down. Now, that being an incidental thing, now imagine this becomes a purposeful, malicious weapon to use against you. It's in the back of all of their minds. They all know that they can do that. And they know that you know that.
Yep.
So, you know, that's some evil shit.
But you know, Hammerhand, unlike other people, I'm happy that all of this occurred, right? And this is why. TFM always talks about the reason why you need to keep your pimp hand strong, right?
Yes. Sir.
So men as a collective have done nothing but fail. The only thing men have done over the last 100+ years is fail. There's been zero success, right? Because after the 19th Amendment, and that's the starting point, right? Everything after that is just abject failure, right? Because what is feminism? Feminism is a what? It is a shit test, right? On masculinity. Hey, are you going to put me in my place? No. Okay, I guess we're going to put the kids in dresses. Hey, are you going to put me in my place? Nope. I guess we're going to go ahead and take over your cigar bars. We're going to demand that we are on the board in the company, right? Like every single thing that they're doing, they're only doing because why? Remember, if you want to stop it as a man, you could, but do you know who's going to stop you? It's the simps. The simp.
I agree. But go ahead.
Go ahead.
They only go where they have a reasonable chance of making that succeed. You know, you don't see them demanding to put on full pads and cleats and go play with the boys.
Nope.
You don't see them wanting to do high-rise wire work or construction or sanitation work or going out on a trawler and catching crab legs. You don't see that. They want positions of power. That's all they want. They thirst for it. This comes
but not just
in my
power,
opinion.
but ease in social credit too, because
sure,
a plumber is making money, right? So it's not about the money. They end up getting these positions where they say this: Sandman said this once. I'll never forget it. He said, "Women avoid the 3 Ds: jobs that are dirty, dangerous, and difficult." Right?
Sure. Yeah.
Any job that fits that description is completely dominated by men. Right? Military. Before the modern day drone strikes and shit. Right?
It's still dominated by men.
It's still dominated by men. Right? I mean, even though they're more males now than men, it's looking rough in the military, man.
I agree. We got problems.
It's got problems. I know you remember that video that showed the U.S. Army ad versus the Russia Army ad.
Yeah, it looked like a joke at first.
I swear I thought it was satire, right?
Yes, I did.
I shit you not, Hammerhand. The first time I saw it, I remember looking at it. I was like, I started laughing, thinking that I was like, this is so funny. I grew up with 2 moms, so I'm sitting there laughing, going, dude, this is fucking hilarious. Like, who edited this, right?
Yep.
I shit you not. I was like, this has got to be a joke. And once I realized I wasn't being trolled, I'm like, oh shit. And it goes back to that South Park episode, Strong Woman, right? The Strong Woman competition. I know you remember that one.
Yeah, it was
with Heather Swanson, right? With Macho Man.
Yep.
And remember, that was satire 4 or 5 years ago, right? Like, this is funny because it's so ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
Now we're here. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and look at the swimmers and the track runners that are crushing these biological females.
It's beautiful.
Because it is.
Beautiful.
I feel bad for these girls that have worked their asses off to get to that point. But at the same time, this is what your parents voted for. This is what your grandparents voted for. And now you get to pay the fucking piper.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's be honest, though. Who pushes the whole trans women are real women? It ain't women in their 50s. Who is it? It's those very girls on the swim team, right?
Yep.
The young little the young university thoughts, right?
Yes,
they're the ones pushing all the woke.
Yep.
So now they're reaping the benefits.
That's what I agree.
Of woke. Right?
I agree.
So when here's the great irony. The great irony. They're saying 10, 15 years ago, they called you, me, Tim, anyone else who will listen, right? Anyone who has a dick swinging between their legs. You know what they called us? Transphobic. They called us sexist, misogynist. Remember all those words getting slung? And then now, what happened? The weirdest thing ever, right? The most predictable thing ever. When the woke ideology has now collapsed on itself or is collapsing on itself, right? When these dudes are going this, because remember, gender is a social construct, right, Hammerhand?
So I hear.
Yeah, so you hear, right? That because it's true, right? It's true. All of a sudden, dudes who were average dudes went, wait a minute. I identify as a woman. And then they slid in, right? Like that's a grift, right? They grifted and they went, wait a minute. So I can come in here and claim to be a female because of my gender identity and compete against genetic women. They're going to get slaughtered. And then what would you believe happened? The same females who are calling you names are going, help, this is wrong. No. I tell simps, don't do anything. Don't help them. And you know what you do? You know what I call them, Hammerhand? Why are you girls so transphobic? Why are you so bigoted? Yeah. Why are you so misogynistic? You see what I'm saying?
It's easy. It's very, very easy to just sit there and wait for this shit to swing back around and then throw it in their faces.
Yep.
And I take great pleasure in throwing it in their faces because we tried to fucking tell you.
Yep.
We tried to let you know where this was going to go. It's not hard to look 3 or 4 steps down the road.
They don't do that.
They just don't want to do it.
Yep. Here's the thing. Do you think they don't want to? They can't.
I think it's a mixture of both. I think that they are very cowardly at heart. I think that they understand that true equity will never be attained without the suppression of men.
Mm-hmm.
It will never be attained. True equity for them is something that they think about in terms of materialist gain or capital. It's not that. It's being the best that you can be amongst those that are like you if you choose to compete with them.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that is.
Well, they're trying to nerf the field in whatever they're playing in. That's why, the beauty of this, though, is that you're hearing these reports, right? I mean, you've seen these videos, like, guys like Casual Bachelor, they roast these silly ass hoes. And one of the things that I noticed that keeps popping up is that the women who, like Candace Bushnell, right? They now realize once it's far too late, right? Decades too late. They're like, feminism lied. Like this, like I'm alone, right?
Yeah.
The beauty of this is that not only is it what we told them was going to happen, right? It's like you actually get to see what chameleon mode looks like, right?
Oh yeah.
Because I don't know if you heard about this article. There are women now who are lying about their vax status. Have you heard about that?
Yes, I have.
Isn't that
Yes, I
beautiful?
have. Yeah, well, because the overwhelming majority of people that refused it are men.
Yep. I did.
I did.
Yep.
I'm not taking that motherfucker.
Yep.
Are you kidding me? I'm not doing that.
You been hearing about some of these
A
stories?
99.8% survival rate? I'm not doing that. Look,
Yep.
I've been very honest and forthright. If I died tomorrow because of COVID and not because I got hit by a car and I happen to have COVID, then it is what it is.
Yep.
You know, my body, my choice. Get the fuck out of here with anything else.
Yeah. Well, the beauty of this is that, okay, so, you know, population control, right? There are people out there that get into conspiracy theories, they, you know, quote unquote. And you started hearing these stories about, you know, women who got the vax while pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
Baby comes out stillborn.
Yeah,
you got people that are showing up, losing babies. Women are coming up infertile, right?
They sure are.
Hey, Rand, what happens 5 years from now, right? I explained this to somebody once, right? I said, do you know that the average period of a vaccine creation is 10 to 12 years, 15 on the long end?
Yeah.
This was less than 10 to 12 months, right?
Yeah.
And the beauty of all this is that I said to myself, I want everybody who pushes whatever it is they push. Remember, if you get something, like I say, I don't care what you get. If you have your reasons, like, oh yeah, look, man, it was that or lose my job, I can respect that. Like, you know, I got mouths to feed. I get it, right? I'm not knocking that guy or that woman, right? It's when you're going on social media pushing it, right, Hammer? You're wrong, Hammerhand. If you don't do this, you need to. You see what I'm saying? They're very you know, that indignation. That's where my issue comes from, because those are the same people now, right? Like, you know, you and I both know this. When someone were to ask you, hey, Hammer, how do you know if a girl's gotten the jab? Just look at her social media, right?
Right.
Every single female without fail who got jabbed has it posted on social media.
Yeah,
look at me, social credit, validation.
They wear their little stickers and put their little needles up on their screensavers, and yeah, you know, it was the happiest day of my life. I've got 2 kids, but it was the happiest day of my life. Yeah.
Yep. Kids don't matter. It's only about what is the new trend right now, and you know how this, like you said, it's a boomerang, right? It always comes back around. So the same person that is pushing narrative A, right? And then when the consequences come, they're like, shit, I need narrative B, which is, oh, I'm against that, and oh my God, blah, 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 anti-government, anti-this, mandates. It's like, wait a minute. So then you start to notice, though, right? A lot of people start deleting certain, you know, information online and social media because they know. I think you know what ends up happening to Hammerhand? It's almost like people, you know, because, you know, a certain group of people have this thing where they only do, because they're natural followers, right? They do what's popular now, but what's trending, right? It's a trend. And then when the trend backfires, they're like, oh shit, well, damn, let me take down everything I've done and then follow a new trend, right? And that's what happened with these women saying, I'm anti-vax. And it's like, at what point do the guys start, like you said, you know, you always had that saying, hold the line, right?
Yes,
and
sir.
You have talked about on your channel about guys holding the line, because you and I both know what men's kryptonite is, right? Men's kryptonite is thirst for women. Women's kryptonite is accountability, right?
Yes, sir.
And men's just biological imperative is provision and protection of women and children. Therefore, when they see women crying crocodile tears, these like their inner simp comes out, right? They're like, Hammerhand, they learned their lesson though, right? Because she's crying and she said that she's sorry.
Well, I don't think so, man. That's just a form of regret, and it's very temporary.
Very.
You give them a little bit of time, and then they pop right back into that frame that they were in before the imminence, whatever it was. They go right fucking back to it.
Absolutely.
You know,
well, have you know, you're older than me. Have you seen you know, we obviously, you know, we talk about the red pill journey, or that red pill, black pill, whatever, but have you seen more and more women as you're aging who followed the feminist trend, and now they're at the downward spiral, right? Like, they were the hot girl, then they were the whole, like, you know, maybe they had a starter marriage, or they tried to, you know, do all that, they were a single mom, maybe, and they remember, I don't need no man. Remember hearing that?
Yeah, what a term, starter marriage.
Starter marriage. Yeah. Starter marriage, right?
What a fucking insulting thing to say to somebody.
Is that not the worst shit ever? Like,
it's pretty bad.
I've told guys about that. Look, there were guys that got on me, like I said, about my own, past exploits or whatever, right? And I explained it very clearly. I said, look, I said, I mean, you know what it's like being a guy who's, you're a young squirrel looking for a nut, right? You remember what that age is like. And I said, once I realized that the easiest thing to do with the least amount of consequence, at least in my mind, was the women who are already in committed relationships, I was like, well, they don't, the STDs, no. Kids, they didn't want the kids. They didn't want, my time and my money and my resources, right? When you go down that route, you started realizing something. Hammer, the side dude is who she's honest with, right? The side dude she lies to her husband every day, right?
Yeah, she's not trying to deceive you.
She's not trying to deceive you. I don't care. I heard we had a show with Dollhouse Phil. He talked about this. He said, "Do you know who's the most honest woman you'll ever meet? It's a fucking prostitute."
I mean,
prostitutes they're honest.
Somewhat, I could agree with that. Somewhat. I mean, there's still some really shitty human beings, in my opinion.
Yeah. But here's the thing, though. If you let's say you and I are walking in Amsterdam, right? And we're just minding our own business. We're just laughing about whatever, right? And then we look over. The woman is being honest. Here's my price, right? See, I don't know if you ever saw that video that Coach Greg Adams made saying like the quote unquote the free girl will cost you the most, right?
Yeah.
Because deep down, I think every guy knows that's true. They're like, wait a minute. So yeah, but she's not like the other girls. The amount that you're investing in her, which is, a house, maybe a car or two, kids, investments, insurance, you know what I'm saying? You have all this investment, right? Basically over $1 million. You have over $1 million in investments, right? That she can go like this at the drop of a hat, right?
Yep.
She costs the most. How many men have you heard in your lifetime get torn a fucking part because she went like this? I'm not happy.
More than I can count. And I'm not joking when I say that. I have personally gone over the records of probably 10,000 men since I've been doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And the vast majority of them were filed on by the female. And the overwhelming majority of them had nothing to do with domestic violence. Nothing like that. 97% of them had nothing to do with DV. It was just because she's got somebody in her ear or she sees something else in somebody. And as a short-term thinker, which is what most of them are, they pull the fucking panic button, or push the panic button, and they get out of something that would have benefited them for the entirety of their life to satisfy an impulse. An urge, but they're taught to do that.
Yep. Well, and they're incentivized. Like they're encouraged.
Absolutely.
They're taught. They're incentivized. And here's the big thing: there's no recourse, right? Like, well, in terms of in their mind, right? Like, I mean, think about it. Hammer, if you were a woman and you knew that you could get married,
that's an ugly bitch, boy.
Yeah,
that's an ugly bitch. Give me a gun. I'll put a piece in that bitch right now.
Shit. You ain't getting no cheeks clapped. Oh shit!
Even me as a dog ass bitch, man, I could still find somebody to get in there and root it out. Still. I didn't mean to interrupt you there. Sorry.
Well, no, but Hammer, the beauty of it is this: it changes how you perceive the world when you know that you have a safety net. Because you're like this. So what if this doesn't work? You're like, oh no, you win anyway. So wait a minute, no fault divorce, right? Which is signed into law by Ronald Reagan. So I'm tired of cuckservatives always saying that he was a fucking guy. Dude, Ronald Reagan signed no fault divorce into law. That ended basically marriage, period. Marriage is done. The moment you sign that into law, it's over.
Shows you where Ronald Reagan was rooted, though. I mean,
yep.
He was born in the 30s or the late 20s. So yeah, it shows you where he came from. So he expected that it would be a good thing. But whenever you're trying to bludgeon somebody or force them to stay involved, with something like no fault divorce, or you have feminists and feminist lawyers in your ear talking about, well, women need a way out because X, Y, and Z. This is what you end up with, is something like no fault divorce.
Yep. Yeah, I have no respect for that dude. And besides, I know you've heard the stories about Nancy Reagan, that she was a fucking passed around industry thought.
Well,
oh, you didn't know about that? She was literally called the throat goat.
Did not know that.
Oh yeah, look that shit up when you get off the stream, brother.
Did not know that.
Nancy, you just type in Nancy Reagan throat goat.
It does not surprise me. You know, when you see these prim and proper bitches and they got the neck frills on and the ankle length skirts, they're the ones that have a pile of bones in their closet.
Absolutely.
So, and it's that way every single time, man. You know, they went out there and they just got the bone buried. I mean, hundreds of times, and then all of a sudden they want to clean their shit up. It's just marvelous, just marvelous.
Yeah, it's beautiful because this is the thing, though, Hammer. When I was out there doing all my dirt, right, and I was very honest about it. You know what I'm saying? I didn't hide anything. I was like, yeah, this is who I am. This is what I do. Fuck it. If you don't like it, fuck you. I'm gonna be me. But when I learned all of this, like you know, these, like I'm saying, man, I did a show with my main man, War Starter, right? And we were terrorizing the suburbs, bro. Terrorizing the suburbs. These suburban housewife moms and stuff. So once you saw all the thottery, right? Remember, we saw behind the curtain, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're sitting there looking like, wait a minute, it can't be all of them, right? Like, there's got to be some good ones out here. And then I'm sure that, you know, that's how you became a monk, because you started seeing, okay, it is possible, just not probable, right? Possible, right? It's all, anything's possible, but is it probable? You were like,
it's much
there ain't
less
nothing out
likely, much less likely. Going, you know, when people throw bullshit at you, you know, insults and ad hominem, they're trying to accomplish a goal. They're trying to achieve an objective, and that is to run you off or frustrate you or bother you. But when you've been there and you've done that, and you understand that even the nicest, most decent, church-raised, pastor-having girl is still going to end up taking it in the ass because she thinks that that's protecting her virginity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what you've got. That's what you're dealing with. It's been in every hole except the glory hole.
Yep.
And she's going to give that to somebody else and not you.
Mm-hmm.
So it just, I think that the species as a whole, men and women, are fucking ruined. And I think that people that are waking up, yourself, myself, Tim, and the load of other fellas that are on here speaking about stuff like this, even some folks that I don't necessarily agree with or see eye to eye with, are still waking up thousands of people every single day. Those people are the future.
Well, the thing is that, like, you know, when you're looking at the youth, right, and it's one of the reasons why I'm very, it doesn't always seem that way, but I'm actually very protective of the youth, because, you know, I'm like this. I mean, Hammerhand, you and I both know what it's like to grow up in a world where, like I said, I grew up with my father in my life, obviously, but like there was a lot of people who didn't. But I'm like, no one really gave it to you raw, right? Like, you know, there was no YouTube back when I was growing up and when you grew up. You see what I'm saying? Like, we weren't getting this kind of information. So like, we were kind of left out there to dry, right? I mean, think about it. Your dad could sit you down and, you know, he could talk about certain things, but like your dad didn't talk to you the way that if you had a son sitting in front of you, you would talk to him. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They just didn't give it to you like that. You know, I mean,
no.
did anyone school you on female nature when you were growing up? Probably not, right?
Well, there was a fella that tried to, but I considered him to be coarse because of the things that he was saying. I considered him to be mean-spirited. And, you know, looking back on that, he was just telling me the truth, and I was too soft to hear it.
Yep.
So, and that's because I never had that. Go ahead.
Well, I had older brothers. Like I had like red pill awareness, right? I wouldn't call myself red pill when I was growing up, but I had red pill awareness, right? So like I didn't have simp tales, right? Like I remember Solo TV was talking about his simp tales. I'm like, dude, you got a lot of simp tales. Like, I mean, shit, like fuck, what the fuck were you doing? Just out here just giving away all your money and time and everything?
No, man, it's just normal.
Yeah, but Hammer, I didn't know that. Like, okay, I didn't even know about the foodie call, right?
Oh,
because
no shit.
I was on the receiving end of the foodie call, right?
Yeah, but you don't view it that way.
Yeah. So I didn't know. Like, okay, all the guys that came to me telling all of their stories and stuff, right? I was the guy on the other end of every story, right? Hammerhand, I had women bringing me food, right? From their date with the simp. You see what I'm saying? So I was like,
doesn't surprise me.
Oh, so, you know, she's bringing me food. I'll be like, oh, yeah, I was on a date with that guy. I'm like, oh, yeah. If I'm the one smashing, I wasn't really thinking about the other dude. You see what I'm saying? I'm like, oh, well, she brought me some food. Because remember, you've seen this, right? Where girls will eat like a very little bit of food and they, I'll get it to go, right?
Yeah.
And the guy's just kind of like, oh, I guess she wasn't hungry or whatever. No, she's bringing it to either her children.
Yeah,
that she
she's
didn't
taking
tell
it
you
to
about,
somebody else. Yeah.
or taking it to some. I was on the receiving end,
Yeah.
and when you start being on, you're on the receive. I was the one seeing these wives, these girlfriends doing all the nastiest shit, right? And I'm like, somewhere out there's a fucking simp or a cuck who's working hard, doing whatever. I'm like, why would he be doing? Because remember, from my perspective, Hammer, I was like this. Why would someone invest all of this when this girl is a thought, right? That was the way my brain was thinking. But then it hit me one day. They don't know.
They don't know.
I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And that's why when I came to this space, I said, yo, dude, I'm telling you guys the cold, honest, hard truth. And it's similar to what you just said, right? When you said you were a kid growing up and that guy came to you telling you the truth, right? And you, like you said, you thought it was too rough, right? It was too real. So you're like, whoa, dude, you're crazy. You're an asshole. You know, girls aren't like that, because that's the programming you were given, right?
Right, exactly.
And so I found myself like in that same thing where I'm like, I truly believed I was going to be greeted like fucking Prometheus. Like, I'm giving you guys the gift of fire. And dudes were coming at me sideways, Hammer. They're like, fuck you, Drexel. I'm like, wait a minute, fuck me. Bro, I'm telling you the truth. No, man, you're a womanizer. I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, what did I do wrong? And I was like, and then it hit me one day.
Well,
both sides are getting the conditioning. It
yes.
just affects them differently, right?
Yes.
I don't even blame the girls. Hammer, think about, imagine if you were born as an attractive girl right now, right? In the modern era. How could you not be what the most modern women are, right?
It's almost impossible.
It's impossible. Like, okay, well, most of them don't have a dad around. Okay, check.
I agree. It's almost impossible to go down that road, because what an attractive girl is, it's very, very subjective, but at the same time, it's idealized and they're pedestalized. And even if their family doesn't participate in that, there's so many outside influences that direct all people attracted to that kind of person towards them. So they're getting bombed. I mean, from like 8, 9, 10, if they're an attractive baby, it's a lifelong process.
Yep.
So
until they hit the wall.
Yeah.
And even then they still get
until they start to lose a little bit. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, you saw that with the whole Frost chick.
Well, she didn't have anything to lose.
She looked like Machine Gun Kelly.
Motherfucking Cenobite talking about.
Dude,
man, it was something fucked up with them teeth.
I don't know what the teeth were doing, man. She was an interview with the vampire, bro.
She is endemic of the kind of cry bully that's out here in the world today.
Yep.
And they dominate the latter millennials and the Zoomers. That's all they are.
Well, Hammer, here's what's crazy. I've had multiple women grill me about that, about like, Drex, you are you and you act this way and stuff. And I've been asked, the most recent was this Russian girl that I know and work with, right? She's a good friend of mine. And she had asked me, how do you, get along with feminists, right? Like, because, I was giving quote unquote dating advice. I was basically almost like in a Kevin Samuels kind of scenario with this post-wall chick. And I was telling her that she has no options, right? I'm like, you can't be overweight, over the hill, blah, 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 and expect some, high value man, right? I was just telling her the truth, right? And so when she asked me, like, well, how do you deal with feminists? I was like, feminists love me. I go, feminists, and you know how this works, Hammer. You're all guys like us. We are punished publicly and rewarded privately. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Punished in the public eye. Feminists, you think you've seen Kevin Samuels' show? The same women who yell at Kevin Samuels, getting arguments with him. You and I both know if he hangs up the phone and sent them a DM, they'd be all over him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I saw, now I'm gonna be honest with you. What I saw, when I pour through comments and I pour through videos and I go back years, I'm an information dog. I go after the information. What I saw was Kevin Samuels in the comments section of a lot of MGTOW and Black Manosphere men picking their brains before he was Kevin Samuels.
Yep.
So he brought their information and put his spin on it. There's not a lot original about Kevin Samuels.
No.
Kevin Samuels was lightning in a bottle when he told that girl she was average at best, and he happened to hit the B-dub, and then all of them other fucking scumbags that sit on that side of things, especially them swirlers, they went right after that shit, and he was untouchable already.
Yep.
And they blew him up. They blew him up.
Yep.
So
all he had to do basically, like I said, his format. It's a great format because I look at a guy like that, Kevin Samuels, I go, this. You can look at this and like I said, it doesn't matter. Like I always tell people, man, like you said, it doesn't matter if you like someone, dislike. You need to look at all these different people, because when I was sitting there looking at a guy like that, I said, "Oh, I get what he's doing." Right? Like, and it's a smart move from a business standpoint. Appeal to women by having a setup where, like, even though he doesn't have guys calling in, it's women.
Yeah.
Let the women come in and then go, basically go over the top with like the red pill shit, right? That talking points that you and I have known and heard for years, right? And then now it sounds new because to the mainstream, this is new, right? That's why people, oh, you hear what he said? And we're all looking like didn't he take that from Tommy Sotomayor, who said that 10 years ago?
Yeah.
you see what I'm saying? Like,
hey, man, Tommy,
you've been in that position where you're like, wait a minute, like, I know, wait a minute, is he doing something? Tommy was saying some of this shit. Literally, I shit you not, man. What is it, 2022?
Yeah, literally 10 fucking years ago.
Yeah, I'm sitting
Sotomayor classics, TJ Sotomayor, Tommy Sotomayor, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, but you remember Haydarazi?
Yep.
Yeah, when he was, I don't know what happened to Mr. Gates, but when Haydarazi was around too, you were hearing a bunch of that, and I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. But yeah, this is all shit that has already been out there, and it keeps getting trolled up and trolled up and trolled up, and then these newfangled come along and they just dispense it differently.
Do you believe the manosphere has been too far derailed, or do you think it can still kind of rein in?
I think that it's still very much a space for men. What I think is that there's a whole bunch of folks in here that recognize the vulnerability of the new man. They recognize this guy that has been freshly red-pilled, or his wife has decided to leave, or some tragedy has taken place, and this guy is just exposed, man. He's flayed all over the place, and there's definitely a market for exploitation.
Yeah. They're sharks. They smell blood in the water.
Sure they do.
You talked about, it's one of the reasons why I want to reach out to more incels. You and I both said the same thing. I remember you had a video, you're sitting I think you were in your truck, and you said, look, I don't want to hear shit about no goddamn incel. You got $20 in your pocket, you're not an incel. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And we had a guy who claimed to be incel in our Discord, and I'm sitting there talking to him, like, okay, I go, and I said the same thing, because I've said the same thing. I think Coach Ray, I said most men understand. They go, wait a minute, okay. They break it down: incel, involuntary celibate. Right. Okay, you're saying you can't get some, but you want some. They go, okay, pay her, right? What does Coach Ray say? A fistful of 20s, right?
Right.
And then what does the incel say? No, but I want a relationship.
It's a choice. It is a choice that they're making. And I understand wanting the tenderness and the loving side and the emotional side, because if you ask them, they probably came out of a single mother home. And that's what has been put in them by the single mother, because some weird shit happened with her and she didn't feel loved, or she felt neglected. So she pushed that on her kid. And that's where the kid runs in all kinds of problems out there in the world. And men, especially that kind of man, he has a real problem separating fantasy from reality. The fantasy is what's been put in him. The reality is that these people out here, they ain't like that.
Nope. Well, you know what I find to be really fascinating, though, is, okay, we talk about fantasy versus reality. The incel raised by a single mother, right? The Elliot Rodgers of the world, guys like that, right? These guys have, in one hand, they have this idealized, they pedestalize. All an incel is an unsuccessful simp, right? That's all he is. He worships women, right? He worships, he views his masculinity and who he is as a man. If I can get laid, that's the same as the PUA, just on the opposite end of the spectrum, right?
I think
he's a successful simp, right? What's that?
I think he doesn't know what masculinity is.
I agree, but here's the thing, nor does the PUA, right? Because the PUA defines masculinity on saying, Hammerhand, I'm more of a man than you because I smashed 10 chicks in this month. You're not a man.
If you say so.
Yeah, that's how these guys think. You ever notice that? Well, it's all about pussy validation, right?
The amount of fur that you rack up does not make you a man.
Doesn't make you a man.
Doesn't make you a man. It means you participated in a sexual escapade.
Yep, that's it.
That's what that means. That's all that means. And if
momentary,
if your criteria for judging a man is so shallow that getting vagina is what you regard a man as, well, I'm sorry, but you have to reevaluate what a man is. Because
Absolutely. That's why Hammerhand calls them a Hammerhand. Line of Migtow always calls these guys male hyenas, right? These are these thirsty. TFM talked about them, the fucking bonobos, right? They're hypersexual, violent. Have you ever been around these dudes? Like I said, go in the black community.
Yes, I have.
And you see them, I mean, literally everywhere, right? Literal male hyena fucking bonobos, right?
Yes,
like
sir.
If you show up, Hammerhand, and you were a black dude, oh yeah, Hammerhand, when you show up in the black community, these guys will gun you down if you are more successful than they are. That crabs in a bucket mentality, right?
I know.
But then I look at the incel guy, and it's like this. Okay, so you're defining your whole life on whether or not you get this these women and blah blah blah, or a relationship or whatever. But look, one of the things I find so unique is that these guys consume extremely high amounts of porn. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So in one hand, they're pedestalizing women, right? Then they're objectifying the woman, and they're saying, "But I can't partake in that by exchanging money for sex, even though that's what marriage is, legalized prostitution."
I mean, yeah, if you look at it in a particular way, that's what it is.
Yeah, you're exchanging resources, and then you're getting her sexuality in return. That's all it is.
That's right.
Because hey man, I had someone trying to argue that, right? And I said, okay, watch this. Ask a guy right now. Woman walks up and she's blah blah blah. She's great. She checks all the boxes, right? And she goes, "Oh yeah, just so you know, we're never having sex ever, right?"
Goodbye.
The guy's like, "Deuces," right?
Right. Goodbye.
Likewise, if the man is everything she wants, right? He checks all the boxes. He's like, "Oh yeah. We have great conversation. Yeah, just so you know, I'm never spending money on you ever, right? No resources." What does she say?
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Deuces.
Yeah.
So what is that by definition? One person has resources, one person's offering sex. That's prostitution.
Yeah, it's transactional.
It's transactional. Just admit that though. Like people keep on saying, "No, it's not like that." I go, dude, that's why you've heard these stories, right? If the woman starts to make more money, she leaves him. If the guy loses his job, she leaves him, right?
Well, women don't date down typically.
They don't. Never. Almost
Men
never.
Will date all over the fucking spectrum.
They don't care,
because what matters to a man in a partner in life is not the same thing that matters to a woman. Yep. And if they believed that bullshit that they were saying about we're equals, we're this, we can do everything that you can, blah 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 blah, then that wouldn't matter to them.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't matter because they would have the confidence to be able to date anybody that they wanted, regardless of financial status. But there's still a whole lot of usury in women, a lot.
Oh yeah. Well, the beauty of this though is that like, I started learning this years ago, right? In the swinger lifestyle, one of the things that you learn quickly is women's dual mating strategy, right? I would see hot chicks with beta chumps, right? I'm like, is she like, this chick is hot, right? And she's with this lame dude? Like, yeah, this is my husband. And you're like, hey man, I'm not joking.
No,
when I say chumps, I'm talking like soy boy lames. So I'm a young dude at this point. I'm like 23, 24. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And then one day it started hitting me. Oh, so remember, I'm 23. I'm broke, right? I'm a nobody, right? As a broke 23-year-old, no real resources. What is my role? I'm the bull. So you start to realize this is women's dual mating strategy. Like, so it started making sense why women cheat.
And you probably weren't the only one.
Oh, absolutely. No. We were smashing, man. Yeah. We went ahead and
she was using you for something. She was using the husband for something, and she was using somebody else for something.
Absolutely.
And probably somebody else on top of that.
Oh, absolutely. Well, you know the beauty of all that was? When it comes to men, right? A man can't ever say, she used me for sex. When do men cry foul? When they invested resources and got no sex, right? That's when men cry foul, right? When do women cry foul, Hammerhand? When they gave up the sex, but they didn't get resources in return, right? Like, I feel used.
Well, yeah. And then what does that turn into? If you talk to them long enough, it turns into coercion.
Yep.
And then they talk themselves into a rape charge against you.
Absolutely. And you know, we've seen some of these more recent ones, right? Where who was that? The bodybuilder who got Me Too, and you start hearing some of these cases, and I'm like, you remember the Mike Tyson thing?
Yeah.
When that happened,
I thought that was bullshit from the start.
It was complete bullshit. Complete bullshit
from the start, and I knew it was bullshit. Everybody knew it was bullshit.
Everybody. Still got convicted though, because it was
they
Indiana.
tried to squeeze that motherfucker for money.
Yep.
Is what they tried to squeeze him for.
Yep.
So, and he didn't come across, and it was, in my opinion, I have no facts to back it up. It had a lot to do with Don King.
Yeah. Well, you know, Don King was the one who hired that lawyer. That lawyer had never done street crime criminal cases.
Well,
yeah, so he's a financial lawyer. So you know what that was about? Getting Mike in jail to take his money.
To take his money. And he did.
Absolutely. It was a hustle.
Yeah.
So I look at that case, you know, there's a lot of things about his case that didn't come to light at the time. Did you know there was a white dude who tried to help defend Mike?
No,
he was a dude who dated Desiree Washington in high school. I think he took her to like the homecoming or the prom, right? She Me Too'd him, right?
Doesn't surprise me at all.
So she was a thought, and her dad couldn't accept that she was a thought. So when she got exposed, she would just yell, "Grape!"
Yeah.
See?
Yeah. This has been happening since the second pussy showed up on Earth.
Pretty much. Yep.
You know? So
I
don't believe a word that they say. Not one fucking word. Even when it's clear, blatant, and obvious, I still can't believe them.
Oh, absolutely. Well, you know, I got to ask you this, though, Hammerhand, because this is something that I have brought up, and I can't wait till some time passes, because I'm going to have Vic Mignogna's mom on at a later date, and I want to dispel the myth, right? And because you're older than me, you can help to shine some light on this. The myth that everything was like you remember throughout history, right? We have all these religious books, we have all these documents, right? People were doing all kinds of fuckery throughout history, right?
Yeah.
There is a 10-year gap where I know this is hard to believe, Hammerhand, but there was a 10-year gap where every single human on Earth was perfect, right? It's called the 1950s, from 1950 to 1959, right?
Yeah.
And
just an idealized version of what people think that they want.
Yep. And Hammerhand, I've told people, I go, dude, I've talked to people from this era. They said the exact same shit that's going on today was going on. Because remember, humans haven't changed. So if the same shit was happening in the biblical days, you're telling me there was a literal 10-year spot where humans just suddenly, nope, every woman was Susie Homemaker, every man was this good factory worker guy. No,
that just wasn't the case, man. They take, when I say they, I mean the people that want to propagate a different worldview. They take something that they feel they can use as a wedge device, and they perpetrate it on humanity. And that's what feminists do at large. Mm-hmm. You know, feminism didn't just spring into existence in 1970. It's been around for a long, long time. It's been around since the start of the suffragette movement and other types of feminism, even though it wasn't called feminism. It's been around since the fucking Stone Age.
Yep.
You know, that's just what it is. It's an unfortunate reality of life. We were used for a long, long time for protect and provide, for provision. And once you decide that you're going to make the people that you protect and provide for your legal, moral, and ethical equals, you're going to have to fight them off of you.
Yep.
You're going to have to. And that's where we're at now. And that's typically where you start to see kingdoms and empires circle the drain. And we're there.
I mean, we're done.
You know, it's over, bro. It's over.
Hey, man, let me ask you this. What do you think about the people, especially, this is mainly the cuckservatives, right? And they have this obsession with like, no, there's still time. Stop being negative. We need to do this. I go, no. It's over. Right,
no, it's done. I mean, if you look at some Eastern countries with Western influence in them, South Korea, Japan,
they're the birth rates
over. They're in the toilet. They're so far below replacement level. It would take 50 fucking years to get them to replacement level right now. They have no choice in the matter. They're going to have to start importing people from other countries.
Yep, which is funny because they are the most xenophobic and racist. Well, I find it hilarious. You're talking about people who don't they don't mix people. Like, dude, like I said, I know Asians, broke bread with lots of Asians, and they will tell you, do Cambodians like Thai? Do Thai like Koreans? Do Koreans like Japanese? Japanese like Thai, Chinese? No. See what I'm saying? That's why if you go to their countries, what do you notice? What the hell? Why does everyone look so similar? Because it's not like in America. If someone came to any city or suburb in America, they'll go, "Oh my God, so many different looking people," right?
Yeah, true.
And
very true.
And you think about this, right? You know, you go to Tokyo, you're like, oh shit, so this is what a major metropolis in Japan looks like. The problem, though, like you said, hitting below replacement level, like, you know, I think South Korea's at like 0.6.
Yeah, they're
You
in
need
trouble.
2.2 to replace.
They're in
You
big
need
trouble.
2.2. You're done. If you're at 0.6, that means, look, they're top heavy, right? Like kind of like Japan. That's why they got robotics, right? They have this many old people, that many young people. Your entire system and country, right? Culture will fucking collapse because hey man, who's gonna pay for all those people, right? As they age and need stuff, and who's gonna pay for them?
Well, the government is going to take on the burden of the payment, but where does the government get the payment from?
It takes money from workers. Now,
Yeah.
you've heard about these was it Hokimori and all these, you know, the herbivore male. These guys realized,
yeah,
and you know this, Hammerhand, it was always a fucking hustle. It was always a bad deal.
Sure.
Governments always teamed with women, not men. They didn't give a shit about you.
You are replaceable.
Yep.
If you die, you don't produce another human being with your body. They do.
Yep.
And no matter how worthless they are, and there's fucking billions of them that are worthless, no matter how worthless they are, they produce the most valuable commodity known to humans. It's labor. It's labor. It's not money. It's not gold. It's not diamonds. None of that comes about without human labor.
Yep.
So, and that's part of the hustle too.
Absolutely. Well, you started seeing it. What these guys start recognizing, they went, wait a minute. You've heard about that whole thing called the company man, right? The guy who works himself to
they
death.
commit suicide.
Right?
Yeah.
They commit suicide, right?
Like a lot.
I want you to imagine being a Japanese guy. Like I said, the Japanese got it right. You know, they're the real MGTOW, the true monks, right? These dudes said, wait a minute. Hey, man, this is a bad fucking deal, bro. Like, so I'm going to work myself to death for a fucking harping ass wife, right? Who just, remember, I don't know if you know this, in their culture, they give the money to her, right? Yeah. They, you know, when you get paid, she takes the money and she's the one that's divvying it up. So these guys figured, wait a minute, is this really what I want? Like, how is this, you know, good for my happiness, my well-being, right? So they said, you know what, I'm going to do the bare minimum just to, you know, do my hobbies of, you know, jerking off to hentai and tentacles and whatever else, right? And holograms and shit, play video games, hang out with my friends and call it a day, right? It's what I want to do. Now, Hammerhand, do you notice, you think back over the last couple of decades, right? When women say, I'm doing for me, right? I'm looking out for numero uno, right? I'm living my best life.
Yeah.
Everyone cheers her on, right? You go, girl.
What's the difference?
But when the dude says it,
right,
what's he met with?
He's met with derision and shame and hatred.
Yep.
Why?
These guys have finally figured out, oh, wait a minute. They need me to be disposable.
And they don't.
They need me to go like this. Atlas, right?
That's right. That's right. And
See?
They don't want you to know your value. You see,
that's right.
I talk about those people that project, the ones that project all of that bullshit. They're typically the ones that are doing it. When you're saying, rah, rah, go girl, girl power, women hold up half the sky, it's a fucking lie. It's an outright lie. Men made society. Men make society go round. Men fix society when it breaks. Except we can't fix this now.
Yeah, I don't want men to fix it. Like,
I don't either.
See, Hammer, unlike other people out there, especially, you know, I always harp on these cuckservatives because they're the worst. And I tell them, I said, look, man, I'm doing everything in my power to rid men of the one thing that's holding men back. You know what's holding men back? One thing only. You know what it is?
Tell me.
Hope. Men need to have hope die forever. I don't want them having an ounce of fucking hope. And here's why. Hammerhand, you and I both know all the, you know, the laws. Men know the laws. They know how skewered it is, right? Divorce and all this. They know that, you know, man bad, woman perfect, right?
Yeah. So
why are guys still going for the game? Why are guys still getting on one knee? Tell me why they're doing it.
Well, they're being offered hope and programming.
That's right. Hope. So watch this. If the system flipped tomorrow and women had to pay for these fucking kids, right? And they went to the dad and women didn't see the kids and they had to pay and they were losing in family court and the system was beating them down. Would women, you know how women think, right? Would women be sitting there going, I still hope that this guy's not going to, with no fault divorce, he's not going to just take the kid and take the money. Women would flip overnight, right?
Yeah. I think what you would see is an explosion in lesbianism
Lesbianism and abortion.
In
Skyrocket.
abortion, yes.
Yep.
Is what I think that you would see, because I think that most women are absolutely suitable, even though some are very disgusted by same-sex partnership, and I don't blame them one bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that you would see an explosion of lesbianism because most of them are quite comfortable with it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Here's the reason why lesbian relationships don't typically work. Without yin and yang, right? Producer and consumer, you have two consumers, right? When the bill is due, the fuck?
That's a lonely little tray sitting on that table.
Shit.
Ain't nobody reaching, man.
You ain't reaching? Hey, man, I'm trying to think what you know what? Because you got an H, you're Harriet.
There you go.
So I'm Danella. You're Harriet. The bill comes.
You know what, boo? I'll get the next one.
I get the next one. I'm gonna give you some sex when we get home, though. I don't want no sex. I want this bill paid.
I want you to pay this fucking bill, man.
Pay this fucking bill. Hey, Harriet, did you hear that? The fuck was that? Go down there and check. What are you gonna tell me?
It's Harriet going to sleep.
Hey, Harriet, when they get in these predicaments, right? Look, when something gets broken, right? Fix it. Produce. Oh shit, this sucks, right?
Yeah,
that's the reason why they're not in lesbian relationships.
Well, they still believe. I think lesbian relationships, and far be it from me to speak on it, but I'm gonna. They're conveniences.
Agreed.
I think a lot of boredom, a lot of no satisfaction doing what they do with men, and they're not ever going to get that satisfaction. That's not coming back.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that it's just a whole bunch of convenience for feelings sake is what it is. Well, I don't think you see true lesbians and true gays a lot anymore.
Yeah,
it's just conveniences.
Well, not only is it convenient though, because I've always said this, that I've always said lesbians don't exist, because you and I both know zombie apocalypse is The Walking Dead, right? How many lesbian relationships are there?
You don't see them.
None.
They're paired up with somebody that can protect them.
That's right.
Even if they were inclined to fucking eat the cooter, and suck on titties, they are paired up with somebody that's got some swinging. Yeah.
They're gonna start slurping, man. They're taking to the back of the fucking throat, right?
Hey, man, now, you remember them 15 day walkers on the other side of that fence, bitch? You better get to work.
You better go ahead and get to work on this dick.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
You get this wet, I'm gonna get Lucille wet, right? I got this barbed wire bat. And that's where we're at. You see what I'm saying? Like, look, I remember when I was growing up, man. I was actually talking to Kat about this, talking to my homegirl, and I said, people used to be honest about shit. They would, it wasn't all this capping that's going on now, where people just sit there and going, no, we're all equal. Everything is. I said, look, dude. Lesbians have the highest rate of DV, right?
Yes.
Domestic violation, and the lowest rate of sex. Lesbian bed death. Look that shit up.
Yep.
Conversely, this is what's funny. Gays have the highest rate of sex and the lowest rate of DV.
That's pretty interesting, ain't it?
Who's in the middle? Heterosexual, right?
That's right.
So someone goes, okay, Drexel, what's your point? I said, do you ever hear gays try to emulate women in gay relationships? The answer is no. But what do women do when they're in these relationships? What are they trying to emulate? Yeah. Someone's trying to emulate the man, right?
Yeah. Somebody's trying to be masculine.
Someone's trying to be masculine. You can't have two femme lipstick lesbians. That shit never works. There's always one. What's her name? Megan Rapinoe. She is the more masculine one, while Sue Bird is the feminine one. It's like you always. And I don't know if you know about this, Hammerhand. A lot of these so-called lesbian relationships, these chicks get side dick like you wouldn't believe.
Oh no, I know that. I've known several of them over the course of life, and
talk to me.
It was that was a common thing. I was speaking with one girl quite regularly, and then one day she didn't show up at the club.
Yep.
And we found out what the hell happened. About 6 weeks later, I ran into her at that club, and her partner tried to murder her.
Oh.
So she shot her 6 times in the fucking back.
Oh.
And it happens all the fucking time, constantly. But you don't hear about it because it fucks up the narrative.
It's all about that narrative.
Oh yeah,
It's all about that narrative.
Don't think that your media is your friend, because your media is not your friend.
No, they don't talk about white guys getting yeeted by cops, do they?
No. What is that? 4 times the rate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't talk about it though.
Fucking stunning.
Right.
Stunning. But no, they know that they can manipulate blacks in the black community, and the black leaders participate in that manipulation.
Absolutely.
They know they can do it, and they get away with it.
Of course they can. Look, I am so highly, I don't know if you've heard some of my rants going against the black community, because they're useless. It's a matriarchy. And I don't support matriarchies, right?
No.
And it's full of fucking bitch-made simps raised by these single moms. And my thing is this. All of this is coming to a head, which is what your Juggernaut series was about. It's all coming to everything that we've talked about is coming to a head.
Yes, it is.
And either you're going to sink or swim, man. But I see Tim is unmuted. Tim, I know you got questions for Hammerhand. Go ahead, man.
Absolutely. Well, of course, we cannot have any mention of the black community without showing Drex's epic German Shepherd clip from his time on Arcade's channel. I want to show Hammer this compilation. It's a 9-minute video, so I don't think I'll do the whole thing, but I'll get that pulled up for you. In the meantime, whoops, that's Nick doing Richard's voice.
Hey,
in the meantime,
what channel are you? I'm sorry, bro. What channel are you on so I can watch this on the YouTubes?
Oh yeah, it's the guy who clips Nick's channel is Law Nerd Clips.
Mm-hmm. Is that playing live right now? Is this playing live right now?
Oh no, I'll play it for you.
Or is this just on Discord?
Oh, it's on Discord, and it is live but unlisted on YouTube.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
Yeah. Because that's the people who are $20 patrons. They can get the video access. So
gotcha.
that's how I work it as a producer stuff behind the scenes. Anyways,
cool.
While I'm pulling that up, I got a couple of questions that fans wanted to ask you.
Sure.
How are you doing for time? Can you stick around?
I'm good.
Good.
Yes, sir.
First question, wanted to ask if you would do a collaboration with RPM, Red Pill Married. Do you know who that is?
Yeah. Actually, I'm speaking with RPM currently, and we're trying to get together and chop it up a little bit, as he says.
We're doing that's good to hear. We'll get you to show your stuff at the end of the show here, so people can find that collaboration. Drex, RPM has agreed to do Valentine's Day with us.
Oh yeah, I'll figure out a day, because like I said, I might be out of town, but like we can definitely get it. Actually,
we can move it. We don't have to be.
Yeah.
We can go anywhere.
Oh, shit. Facebook Messenger kids.
But yeah, we're so for the people listening to this episode, use advice@migtown.show, our email address, to send us stories where men got a non-killing revenge on a woman. Stories like she got jealous at your new girlfriend because your new girlfriend was hotter. You hit the lottery after the divorce was finalized. Right? And RPM is good. RPM and ourselves, we're going to go through these stories. We're going to give them ratings. You know,
or she always took care of herself with you and then put on 65 pounds when she left.
Yeah.
Fuck that bitch.
Hey, Hammerhand, did you ever see those videos? Especially in the early days of Migtown, the before and after, right before she hit the wall. Like,
oh yeah,
it was like, oh shit.
Oh yeah, it's fucking tragic. You know, it's tragic, man. But you know, I have a hard time feeling sorry for anybody that lived a glorious life, you know, and then when old age comes to get you and the wall comes knocking, I mean, you know, oh well, you should have took care of business and married somebody and been dedicated and loyal to them, and then you would have somebody in your old age, you know, and you wouldn't be bar surfing at 65.
Ugh, it's a rough look, man.
It's disgusting.
Oh, I've seen it.
It's disgusting.
You know, if you happen to be around, maybe we can get you in on that live stream we're doing for Valentine's Day.
Yeah, man, just holler at me and let me know what's going on, and I'll be happy to drop in for it.
Will do.
You know, as long as I'm not on the road, I'll be happy to.
Of course. Well, I'll try to give you as much notice as I can. I know sometimes we put these together pretty last minute. We're not gonna. We're not. You know, typically it's the producer job to make sure we're running on time. We're not gonna, you know, point any fingers, right, Drex?
No comment.
Oh, and kind
All
of
right.
saw a finger point right there.
Yeah.
Next question. Do you think incels are products of too many black pills in the horrid echo chamber?
No, I don't. And I don't have a lot of faith in what black pill is or where it's going or what it's trying to do, to be quite honest. It's a rebranding of narcissism, in my opinion. Now, I'm sure that people will disagree with that, and you're free to disagree. But no, as far as incel or folks that call themselves incels, that has nothing to do with black pill. You don't start out that way. You come to a conclusion through enough rejection or fear that you just can't get these broads. You just can't go on a date, or you've been brutally rejected a couple of times and made fun of, and it works on your confidence, But then you have to start asking yourself the question, are these the people that I really want the approval of? Most of these bitches are brutal by the time they're 7 or 8 years old. Do you really want that kind of approval from these people? Are you headed down the right road in life? You're putting all your eggs in one basket. You have an entire world of possibilities out there. Your life is not over because you don't get to touch somebody's pussy.
And we've brought this up on the show before. Elliot Rodger, of course, the incel that everyone points to and says,
Sure.
"Look, you're as bad as him."
Sure.
He wrote in his manifesto that he used to sit outside of his sister's door and listen to her get pounded.
Yeah. I think that's incredibly irresponsible on the sister's part. Where are the fucking parents? So it sounds like a really dysfunctional home.
Single mom, I think.
Probably. It wouldn't surprise me. Single mothers are very, very prone to letting boyfriends move in with their daughters under their roof. Well, if I know what they're doing, then blah, 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 blah. And that's how you get to abusing drugs and becoming an alcoholic, doing hard fucking drugs. It's a consistent theme with single mothers and weak fathers. It's a very consistent theme. But yeah.
Next one's a bit of a joke question. Would you smash Lizzo to get rid of the family court and take away women's rights?
No.
Hey, man, you ain't shit.
No. I wouldn't touch that bitch with somebody else's dick. No. No. I know how to fight the family court, and I know what the deal is with Title IV and Title IV-D. I realize that Title IV-D is not legitimate. It is a statute. It is not a law. Your judge rescinds their title as judge and becomes a magistrate when they engage in a for-profit case. So fuck them. We can get you straightened out with that stuff. I can refer you to a few people. Amin Osiris right now is one of them. And he does for-profit work. I won't tell you that he don't, but the man has a good track record. And if you do what you're supposed to do, you become familiar with Black's Law Dictionary, 4th edition, you will understand very quickly how badly you're being manipulated.
Some real talk there.
Yes, sir.
Oh, someone in the chat corrected me. It was not a single mom household for Elliot Rodger, but a complete weak-ass beta cuck father.
It has to be. It would be impossible to me to see a strong masculine influence in a home like that.
That was the Sandy Hook shooter, I think, was currently staying with a single mom, but his dad was some kind of like traveling salesman or something. He was nothing.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible. I mean, that's why I don't take OTR jobs, because I know I can't be out long. I have to be in proximity to my son to be able to take care of business. So,
final question from the chat. What do you think about apathy, especially in regards to the grape train incident? You know what I'm referring to there, where she screamed and no one. Yeah. Okay.
Apathy in regards to where we're headed right now can be a good thing. If you're indifferent to what these people want to do and want to use you for and demand that you stand up and take responsibility for, apathy is a very good tool. But apathy, when it's combined with losing your humanity, is a terrible thing. It is a terrible thing that woman suffered that fate. but that woman, in all likelihood, voted for it. I am not going to go get shot down or knifed up so somebody can forget me in a footnote to save somebody that I don't even know.
All right. And as promised, you're going to love this video.
Come on.
Drex breaking down German Shepherds. We were talking about the black community.
I'm out of the loop.
Oh, all the ratchetness and stereotypes of black women, we have now officially deemed those German Shepherds. Shout out to my man, Minister Jap, for actually coining the term. So
I didn't know Jap did that.
I mean, Nick, when you see all this, like, okay, watch this. Hey, Nick, Waffle House fights. Who are you gonna watch? Who are you gonna see in Waffle House fights?
You know I can't answer that question.
German Shepherd.
I plead the Fifth Amendment.
Hey, Nick, Chuck E. Cheese fights.
Stop it.
German Shepherd.
Law Nerd Clip says, Drexel, please tell Joe what a German Shepherd is.
Oh yeah, that's your everyday black woman who fits all stereotypes. That's a German Shepherd. The first thing is black man. Yeah. Joe.
Got the neck wiggle.
Why German Shepherd though?
Or Kyle Murray.
So back in the civil rights era, the German Shepherd was the attack dog of the real white supremacists. So thus, they are the ones attacking the black men now.
Wick Dipper says, Drex, why do you hate such a beautiful, intelligent, noble dog breed so much that you would associate them with these creatures?
That's a
Yeah, a lot
good
of people don't
question.
understand. Back in the 50s, 60s, during the civil rights era, the dog of choice that they used to were the attack dogs were German Shepherds. So thus, as you guys know, therein lies the metaphor, right? Because as I told you, Nick, black women only have two jobs every day that they wake up on the earth, and the first one is to destroy black men. So they are German Shepherds.
We don't need to go further than that, but
That's pretty funny shit, man.
You know
I
what's
like
crazy?
that.
I'm looking at how horrible I looked back then. So Hammerhand, what you just witnessed is back when I got bitten by a fucking spider and had it infected.
No
And
kidding. What kind of spider?
I don't know what happened, dude. I'm not joking. My face was this big.
Yeah, you look swole.
Yeah. No. That's the good picture.
yeah,
That's after I went to the doctor. It was bad, man. It was bad.
I don't want to go looking for it and make the show wait for that. But no, I just I thought that'd be funny to share with Hammer. I thought he'd get a kick out of that.
No, it's pretty funny, man. I heard the reference when you were on with Chronic and Brittany Venti. So
Yeah.
Well,
Here's the thing though. I'm one of those guys, like I said, like I didn't really know much about her. I never really heard that much about her. I think I had maybe like a reference. Someone had said something. I'm the kind of guy though, and I'm sure you're similar, Hammerhand, where you'll talk to anybody, right? Like, again, I was on someone else's show, right? I'm on Nick's show, but it's like I have no problem. Like if you know asked to go on her show, I'll go on her show. You see what I'm saying? Like some of these dudes, and this is one of my criticisms of the manosphere, where they like get this whole like I call him the red pill meathead, right? The guy who's like, I know you've seen this yourself, right? Where some guys think that like unless you're a full on monk, somehow you're not mgtow enough, and it's like that's not really true. Like everyone has because everyone comes from different places, right? Different people have different things. As long as I'm sure you would agree, the main thing is no marriage. That's the starting point. Then you say no cohabitation be the next point. Try not to have kids by these broads. But it's like the no marriage, no cohabitation is the biggest template. You see what I'm saying?
Sure.
No marriage, no cohabitation, no kids. The marriage thing is the worst of the worst because like I think that holds the biggest consequence.
I think it does, but they have ways around that too. If you cohabitate with one of them, you're exposing yourself to extreme risk.
Absolutely.
And the shit that's going on in Canada right now, there have been a couple of cases where a man has been partnered with a woman, different residences, no marriage, for 14 years. And just because one of them went the other way, she sued him successfully in court and won millions from him.
Yeah.
And that they're trying to push that here.
They will. Well, here's the thing.
They will try. They will try. Yeah.
Well, okay. Anything that feminism wants, feminism will get. Because these dudes are bitch made beta cuck simp manginas.
Well, it's
what
in their
they want.
best interest. It's in their best
absolutely.
interest to monetize every aspect of your life because when they can charge you, they're going to get a piece of it.
Yep. Well, here's the thing: someone's got to pay for these bras, right? The government does not want to pay for these women as they age.
I agree.
They want you to pay for them. So
That's right.
I'm sure Tim and I have talked about this. Whenever there's a Me Too case, do you ever notice who the woman accusing the guy is? It's a broke broad accusing a guy with lots of resources, right?
Almost always.
She's not accusing a bum, and she's not okay. Oprah Winfrey is not going to Me Too Jeff Bezos because there's consequences. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
She's like, well, I could lose my empire. He'll take me to court, and if he can disprove, my money's gone, right? So the women who go after you are going to be broke women, right? Like they say, I'm shocked Leo DiCaprio hasn't gotten Me Too'd yet, right?
Well, he must be taking care of himself. I mean, and watching out for what he does if he hasn't been hit up yet, because a lot of these guys, they know that they're moving targets.
Oh, absolutely.
They know that. They're not stupid. They're not out to fucking lunch when it comes to this topic. It's a real problem with them.
Mm-hmm.
I do feel like there's a 1-800 number for celebrities where they can, they're about to be Me Too'd. So they call the 1-800 number and the problem just disappears. Never hits the news.
It might.
Kevin Spacey.
Like, yeah, here's a check. Fuck off.
Yeah. Yeah. Kevin Spacey.
You remember Kevin Spacey, don't you?
Yeah.
Remember that Me Too case? I think he had 2 of them, right? They just disappeared.
Yeah, 2 of them.
2 of them gone.
Gone.
Thanos snapped.
Yep.
All right. We are coming up rapidly on 2 hours here, so I hate to cut this short. Hammer, we will absolutely have you back sometime, man. I feel like
I'd
we can
appreciate
go for
it,
hours.
I think you guys are fantastic. It's been my pleasure.
Go ahead, show your stuff. Where can people find you?
Oh, man, you can find me over at Hammerhand, all one word. And until they decide that they're going to hang another one on me, or just go ahead and outright delete the channel, because that happens.
Do you have an alt platform of choice?
It's the same. It's the Migtow Monk and Hammerhand, the Migtow Monk on Odyssey.
There you
So
go.
I have 2 channels over there. That was an importing mistake, but it was a happy mistake.
Of course, you guys know how to find us. Patreon.com/Migtown Podcast. Subscribestar.com/Migtown-podcast. We are now on Locals. Migtownpodcast.locals.com. We hope to be doing some live streams there, after show parties sooner or later. I think, if you wanted to leave us a voicemail, 1-855-MIGTOWN. You guys know how to get us. You know how to find us. Drex, final thought to you.
My final thought is that I'm glad that guys like Hammerhand have come into this space, just because you've seen so much of the censorship coming through, and it's like the only way to fight back is just keep fighting, right? Like Undead Chronic's on his 14th channel. You see what I'm saying? It's like at some point, guys just got like this. I don't care. Yeah, because to start up another channel, just start it up, and and you've noticed, Hammerhand, other guys notify the rest of the guys that you've been nuked, right? They'll say, "Hey, man, subscribe to Hammerhand on this. This is the new thing. It's HMR is for Hammerhand. Is 5. It's like the new channel. You know what I'm saying? Like you need that camaraderie, because like they're gonna keep trying to suppress this message, and that's why we need to keep pushing it."
I agree, 100%. You know what they say, man? The flak is never the heaviest until you're over the target.
Absolutely.
So, 100%. Gentlemen, it has been a pleasure. I thank you so much for inviting me on.
All right, everyone.
Thank you.
We'll see you next week. Stay frosty.
Stay toxic.
Peace.